like a bed. Hey there YouTube, it's your girl. My last couple of videos have been about narrative in academic and popular historical texts and how to tell the difference between the two of them. And all of this brought me on a little trip down memory lane. Now, if you knew me in 2016, and I know most of you do because half the people subscribed to me, I'm pretty sure are blood relatives, so if you're not, go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments. I would like to get to know you. But if you knew me back then, you know that I was really into writing, especially fiction, and especially had some dreams about writing comics. So when a guy walked into the comic book store where I worked at the time and offered me the opportunity to work with him on a comic book series that he was writing with another co-author, I was like, sure. There were red flags. Now, back in 2016, I wanted so badly to be a writer. I was constantly writing. I had just graduated college, I'd taken some classes in college, and I had taken some classes after college at the Art Center at community college, and I was constantly working on getting better. I was writing fiction, I was writing short stories, I was writing comic books, and I had a pretty good portfolio of different scripts altogether of my recent works, and I was ready to go. I was ready for any opportunity that came my way. Now, it's in this period that I meet this guy, and my very brief interaction with him is the inspiration of this video about knowing your characters and understanding how and why they come off the way they do, how things like comedy beats and tropes will impact the story and how it'll impact how people see your characters. And when you hear how little a thing it is, I promise you this matters. It matters when you understand what goes into creating a likable character and a character that you're in control of how people see and what they think of them. And so he comes in and he introduces himself, and we find out that we are both writers and he's just quit his job to work on this project, and he and his friend are both going to be contributing authors, and he asks if I want to come in as an author / editor maybe. And so I'm stoked. I'm at least going to meet this guy, hear him out, hear what he's got to say, see what he wants from me. Now, looking back, I don't even think he asked me for a portfolio, so that's kind of a red flag right there. Very professional operation. So we meet later that week at Weaver Street Market, which is this grocery store restaurant hybrid. Get a coffee, we sit down, and we start talking about this story. And we talk about, his art career, we talk about my writing, we talk about lots of different ideas for the story, and then he starts to give me the storyboard. And this is where he loses me. It is such a little thing, but it is so important to watch out for. So one of the concepts that he has for this story, and I'm laughing because now that I actually have to say it out loud, I realize how flimsy of a concept it is. And I don't know if this couple is like a detective couple or if they have something else going on, but all that I can remember about them is that they like having three-ways. That's all I can remember, and I feel like there's gotta be something else, because at the time I was like, yeah, okay, that's an interesting quirk. I don't remember thinking, oh, that's all, but that's all that I remember about them, is that they're this couple, and then sometimes they have three-ways. So how we're supposed to be introduced to them is they, again, on panel, this is a comic book, is the two of them in bed, waking up and, saying good morning or whatever. And then this third person, this chick, wakes up next to them and says, good morning, should we go out for breakfast? And the two of them said, get out! And that's where he lost me. And back then, when I tried to express why exactly he lost me, I think, and I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that he thought I was saying, I'm a prude, I don't approve of this. And to be clear, I am a prude. I don't love hearing about what other people do in the bedroom, but I'm not the kind of prude who's going to discriminate against what people do, who's going to like judge them or moralize them. I don't really care. You know, if you want to do that, you know, that's fine. I'm not judging the fact that they were a couple who had 3 ways. What I am going to judge is bad communication, and that's what this couple were showing. You know, the way that this scene was set up is very funny. I mean, she says, "Let's get brunch," and they say, "Get out." And there's, you know, there's a comedy beat there, you know? It's not what you would expect. She thinks one thing, they think something completely different. We have a laugh. But then when you actually think about the implications of that, why was she so off base as to what their intentions with her were? Can you imagine the conversation the night before? Like, what must they have led her to think? Or did they have a conversation at all? I feel like these are all problems that kind of show that the main characters aren't good communicators and maybe are a little manipulative in a way that's pretty not good. So I bring this up to him and I say, hey, this shows that they don't communicate very well. And he says, you know, some relationships, some perfectly healthy relationships, are between 3 or more people. And I say, yeah, that's cool. I agree with you, and that's not my problem. But that's all he hears. All he hears is that I'm a prude and I'm not a good co-author for this project. Now what I'm thinking is, this guy is a bad communicator who doesn't understand his characters, and he's not a good partner for this project. But I've been putting some thought into this between 5 years ago and the present day, because I like to tinker with ideas and see if I can make them line up and see what they would be like if we unpacked it in this way or unpacked it in another way. And I came up with 2 completely viable ways to carry the story forward and go from there. So in scenario 1, the vision is maintained. They are this couple that sometimes likes a 3-way, and they've invited this random chick in for the night, and in the morning she says, "That was fun, good day." And she's totally on board with the fact that this is temporary and this isn't something that they're going to be involved in. You know, no breakfast, no dating, no calling, thanks for tonight, see you later. Or not. And what this does is it shows that they're good communicators and that they can get what they want across to this other person. That they're not manipulative, that they are not sneaky, and that they just say, here's what I want, are you on board? And then the other way that I was thinking this could go, and this I think is more interesting, is if your characters have the same interaction. Are we up for breakfast? Get out. Only this time she speaks up and she self-advocates and she says, hold on, why are you being so mean to me? Why are you kicking me out? I was led to believe this. I wouldn't have slept with you last night if I had thought this was how you were going to treat me. And really unpack what they did to her. Because you don't have to have likable main characters. But you have to know when you're writing unlikable main characters. If you're writing unlikable main characters and you think there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, that's going to tip your hand as an author how you view the world and how you think that other people move through the world. You know, it's rarely in the main characters that authors tip their hand. It's usually in how the world works around them. So what happens in this kind of world building is one of 2 things. Either you're going to write the world as it is, or you're going to write the world as you want it to be. A good example of an author who writes the world as it is Stephen King. He says in his book, On Writing, that he's been accused of being racist, of being homophobic, of being this, of being that, when he is writing down what he sees in the world around him. He's not trying to punish a character for being gay or for being a woman or for being black. He's writing the struggles that he sees in the day-to-day lives of these people as he understands them. And the other way to show world building is to show the world as you see it, and you know that you're not presenting the world literally. You're showing it through a filter. And a great example of this would be Orwell's 1984, which is not the world as it literally exists. It's an extension of one problem that he saw in the world as it was. And the people who were reading it back then and now resonate with those specific messages that he was trying to communicate by showing a world that was different from the one that we live in. So Orwell was very in control of his world and his world building. His minor characters all feel realistic. They have relatable fears. They have realistic expectations. They react to Winston in a way that you would expect a person who lives in that world to react. That world is very different from our own. But when we have a world that's more similar to our own and the minor characters don't act the way that we would expect minor characters to act to situations around them, things that are happening, conversations, interactions, that's when we start to see what the author thinks of these characters and how they see the world, how they walk through the world, and it tips their hand, it shows what they think. So bringing it back to this story script that I was looking at in this cafe, what does this tell me as a potential reader? Well, it shows two things. First of all, it shows that these people are the worst, but also that we're not supposed to see them as the worst. We're supposed to see them as the sympathetic protagonists, and we're supposed to see this other chick as some clingy person who doesn't understand their lifestyle. And I don't like that. It doesn't sit with me. I think that they should be either better communicators or they should be punished by the narrative. They should be punished by her saying, hey, that's not what I thought we were getting into. Why would you manipulate me and lie to me like that? You know, look, we don't have to change anything about them and what they like to do. All we have to do is either make them better communicators or show that they're not good people. And without being willing to do either one of those, I don't want to put my name on that kind of a story that makes a comedic beat out of manipulative liars, especially in that kind of scenario. Now, I didn't continue with this project, so I actually don't know if it went forward or whether it was published or when it was finished, but if this sounds familiar and it happens to be your favorite comic book series, let me know in the comments. I am so curious how this all unfolded from here, and I will see you in 2 weeks.